G'day, Ben Cousins here.
Peace, everybody. I'm Carmelo Anthony.
You're listening to Ball Magnets.
And you're listening to the Ball Magnet Podcast.
He's a superstar. He is an absolute superstar. Tom Mitchell. Cripps at the back. Cripps is too good. Neale, yes! Oh, how good was that?
Did you watch the draft last night?
I watched like the first 5 picks.
Yeah, I didn't watch any of it. I wouldn't have even known it was on, but I checked socials this morning. Richmond had 6 of the first 20.
Yeah, that's wild.
6 of the first 20?
Something like that.
You guys had Ashcroft go 5?
We had Levi go 5.
Yeah. Where does he compare to Will? Like, have you trained with Levi?
Yeah, I've trained with him. He's been training with us for like 2 years, really.
Yeah, okay.
Played a couple of VFL games. I think he had 35 and 12 clearances or something in one of the games.
As a young
3 votes.
16-year-old.
Yeah, he probably was 16 because he's only 17 now. But yeah, he's a star. He seems pretty similar to Will. I'm sure there's differences, but they're both superstars. It's pretty sick to have both of them coming to the club now, and yeah, he'll probably take my spot in the next 12 months.
Because I was thinking the raps on him are pretty big, but I'm like, some people are saying he's going to be better than Will, but I'm watching Will play. I'm like, Will's almost one of the best players in the comp. Like, it's going to be hard to be better than him, but it's pretty exciting for what you guys have coming in.
Yeah, it is exciting. I don't know if he'll be better. That'll be hard to top, especially what Will did off his knee coming in and winning the normie. But I know that Levi was pretty flat going 5, so
yeah,
he texted me.
Want to pick one?
He texted me saying, "I should have gone pick one, mate." Nah,
he's probably right. Yeah, speaking of the granny, so Will's won the Norm Smith. Going from the year before, like, I think it's probably underrated how much of a loss he was for you guys doing his knee, even though he was only a first-year player. Like, he's pretty much come in and dominated from pretty much the start, really, and adds depth to your midfield with all the stars you have in there.
Yeah, I think like the way that people probably think that he was playing like full-time mid, but he's playing like half forward 50-60% of the game as well, and still putting
even
up
this
numbers.
year in the granny, because I did notice that. I was obviously at the game there watching you, but he would start at half forward a lot, and then he would always come up the ground. He sort of come up and looked like he was doing what he wanted, but I don't know what was planned with what you guys had in strategy, but yeah, he was starting half forward a lot, not in a lot of centre bounces.
Nah, he played a little bit midfield, but yeah, he did a lot of damage off half forward and playing that sort of link player, getting up the ground, doing his 1-2s. But we were speaking about it before with his 1-2s. He handballs forward and gets it back, whereas I reckon my Freo days I was getting 1-2s, giving it to the full back and then wrapping around and just not doing any damage with it. But he's like real damaging with his, and provided such good link play for us in that granny. But even in the finals before, he won Finals Player of the Year as well, and he's what he did off his knee is pretty special. So maybe you never know. Like the year before, if he had played, do we win? Yeah. There was so many variables that you guys probably should have been 5 goals ahead anyway, missing some shots and stuff. So you never know, but he probably would have made a difference. But then someone else misses out, and you just never know how it balances up the team. But like I said, Levi coming in, probably take my midfield spot in 12 months, and I'll be running around half forward pocket for a few games
be the link guy.
till Fags realises I'm no good at it and sends me to the VFL. But it's exciting for the club. Like, I feel like our midfield depth now is pretty special, and the club's well set up for like 10 years now with Sammy Marshall as well, who he went first round, I think maybe second last pick or something in the first round. He's a mid as well. Probably play like wing, half forward, maybe a bit of half back.
Is he an academy player?
Yeah, he was academy. He won best on in the what are they, under 18s granny, and Levi was in that team. I think they both were had 28 and 2 or something.
Similar to you and Will on granny day.
Yeah,
that could have honestly gone either way. That call. I don't know what the voting was, but it might have been a vote that split you, and you probably don't care because you want a flag. It doesn't really matter, but.
No, I think I was a fair way off Will. I think he polled like heaps of votes.
We'll have to check that. I reckon you were one off. I reckon
I was I was
Really?
like 6 or 7.
Okay.
Sloaney didn't vote for me.
Yes,
So cheers,
buddy.
Sloaney.
Stiff, mate.
Thought we were mates, but
Yeah, well,
nah.
the wash app's clearly working for
Yeah, I
Will,
know.
so that's good.
Wash up.
Keep
he's,
washing up.
He's flying.
It looks like he's impossible to tackle. I'm not sure. You've obviously would have tried to tackle him at training. I haven't played on him or against him, I don't think. Maybe once, but it looks like he just stands
maybe
upright and tackle. And he's got
probably
like
only
that.
played that Easter game last year.
Yeah, maybe he did. He sort of like just whips his hips though, and just he's got this
Yeah.
way of breaking tackles, like
Yeah, he's
almost
really
like
good at
Judd,
it.
like when he started.
Yeah, he does a heap of work on his core stuff, and it's
Yeah.
like I think that's what he spends the most time on in the gym.
Yeah,
And yeah, I think like when he did his ACL, he just spent heaps of time getting his core, his lower body right, and now
Yeah.
he's like impossible to tackle. So even in the GWS game, he had a couple where he had like 3 hanging off him, and he just
yeah, he's
sort
strong.
of get out and get his hands out. And
He's got good hands too.
yeah, he's elite. So yeah, he'll spend a bit more time through the middle again. Levi obviously be pushing for a spot. He's
Yeah.
hell bent on playing that first game.
Yeah.
He had shoulder surgery at the end of this year, so he'll be a little bit delayed. But yeah, it's pretty exciting.
And there's always some tough luck stories in grand finals and premierships and things. And, you know, we speak about Will there, which is a success story. And then there's someone like Oscar Mcinerney.
Yeah.
You've probably been asked about this a ton, but I'm just so interested in it because what the fans and what we saw as, you know, spectators is how well he handled it. And I think it was genuine how he was acting. I don't think you can fabricate that.
Nah,
like
not
he
the
was
way he was
genuinely
carrying on for the
happy
whole
for the
time as
team.
well.
Like I don't think that was fake. You know him personally, and
Yeah.
you can probably sum it up. But is there a part of you that feels sorry for him? How much does he hurt that he did miss out? Like how happy is he? Can you give a summary on all of it?
Yeah, I'll try. He's like hard to put into words, Big O, though. He's sort of like our heartbeat of the team, has been ever since I got to the club, really. And he's just not the sort of guy that would be able to fake that. If that's how he, if he didn't feel how he did the joy and stuff that you saw grand final day, I don't think he'd be able to fake it. He's just not that sort of guy. And he wouldn't be able to hide it well enough. So, yeah, for him to carry on like he was after the game was pretty special and just shows the character that he is. But yeah, probably I reckon maybe for 2 days after when he did his shoulder, like he would have known straight away, like I'm not playing next week if we get up here. But he came out and played like another quarter and a bit with his shoulder like hanging out basically.
Did he really? That prelim. So
Yeah.
he probably in that moment knew if we get through, I'm not going to play, but still
Yeah.
put himself out there for the team.
Yeah, put himself out there just so Joey could rest up a little bit up forward, and then knowing that he's probably going to, I think they might have said to him like it's going to come out again, mate. So they couldn't even inject him to like relieve some of the pain because he needed to feel when it popped out again.
Oh my God.
And then yeah, it popped out again, and it was stuck out for ages. Like I think he was fully like in a bad
Yeah,
way.
he looked shocking. The footage of him coming off in the prelim, like
Yeah.
there's literally a stoppage and he's just walking off through the stoppage, just
Yeah.
walking off the ground.
Yeah, it was pretty wild, and they couldn't get it back in for ages. So I think he was on like the green whistle and had to basically like knock him out to get it back in.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was pretty wild. And then he came to like our leaders meeting on the Monday, and he was like probably a little bit quieter than usual, but still like stoked for us that we got the win. And then I think Fag said to him, we want you to come to Melbourne with us. Like we were flying earlier than we did the year before, so we went on Wednesday instead of Thursday. And he was like, yeah, like if you guys want me there, I'll be there, like just doing my thing. So
You got
that
to
was
meet
pretty
Katy Perry,
like,
which is probably
yeah.
one bonus. I saw him meeting Katy Perry the day before.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. So he got to do that, and was just around the group the whole time, which was important for us, I reckon, just morale, and
Yeah.
his energy was infectious. So yeah, even like before that prelim, it was his, I don't know, maybe 150th, and we always do like show highlights and package and stuff pre-game for like a milestone. And he said to Fags, like, don't show a highlights package of me, like show the boys, like everyone doing something special. Like I'd rather you show that than something about me.
Was that for the prelim? Or
Yeah, for the
really?
prelim. So
Wow. And he
just
Fags
selfless
did,
like
Fags
that.
did that? He
Yeah,
showed the
Fags
team?
was like, all right, I won't show the boys the highlights of you. Then we'll just do like the group.
Yeah.
So everyone was like on this tape, and then I think during the week we might have watched some of O's stuff, and that was like, yeah, pretty cool going into the grand final, just watching his stuff, and then had his jersey up as we
saw
ran
that.
out and stuff as well.
That's
so
a nice touch.
and he was on the bench, and like through the game, he was unbelievable. Like when I'd come off, he'd be like, "Mate, you're killing it. You're a star. Like you're gonna win this for us," and stuff like that. Just giving you the biggest pump up.
So he was on the bench as a,
Yeah.
what was his role for game day?
Just cheerleader.
Yeah. Operation of good vibes.
Yeah. But I think as well, helping 40 out, like he was watching heaps of the ruck stuff and giving 40 feedback, and like 40 did an amazing job against Grundy, who's a star. So for him to compete like he did, I'm sure O would have had a massive part through the week, like telling him how to play him and throughout the game picking up on things and showing him. So he was unreal, and I think he genuinely popped his shoulder out again when he celebrated with 40. He said it in the rooms. Oh yeah, I think I popped my shoulder out, but he actually did. It dislocated when when we won, and he was like got around 40. It popped
Holy
out,
crap.
like slipped out, and then went back in. So
wow.
but yeah, he was almost best on Saturday night, which was pretty sick. So
Yeah.
it was awesome to win it for him, and hopefully we can win another one, and he's a part of it because he deserves it. But he wouldn't want anyone like feeling sorry for him. Like I think he did an interview and said, "You shouldn't be feeling sorry for me. You should be feeling for guys like Link and
there's so many other guys.
Gardner
That spotlight probably is on O because he was the one who missed for the week before. But then there's Kitty Coleman, Link McCarthy. There's a couple of others.
Darcy Gardner. Even like Tommy Duday came to the club this year. Was about to play against you boys, I think.
A lot of ACL injuries between.
Yeah, we had 5, I think, at one stage.
See, that's forgotten as well in going on to win a premiership.
Yeah.
You know, people are probably writing you guys off early in the year with all these injuries, and you fight through that adversity, which gets forgotten as well.
Yeah. We were written off pretty early, it was kind of good for us in a way. Like, we had a fair bit of adversity through the media, which some people buy into, some people don't. Some people listen to it and whatnot, but others like couldn't care less. But I think, like for me, I'm in my 13th year. Well, just finished my 13th year. And you sort of like pick up on little things just to motivate you along the way. You sort of need that, I reckon, when you've been around the game for a long time.
True.
So yeah, it was like even just the Vegas stuff, which we didn't even go to Vegas, which is pretty funny.
Yeah.
That whole story, sort of like we laugh about it because it was so wrong. Like, didn't go to Vegas. There was no WhatsApp group that got leaked. There was that was just made up.
So how does that even start then? Like it's a rumor mill, and
It's
then
when you
how
lose, and
can
then
someone write an article without actual proof? Like,
Yeah.
that's the things that bother players, I think.
Yeah,
is when
it's
things
crazy.
are written and there's no accountability on the other end for when they get it wrong to put their hand up and say,
Yeah,
that was wrong.
Like,
that was
I'm pretty
false.
sure-
I lied. That's a lie.
Pretty sure the guys that came out with that stuff haven't come out and said like, oh yeah, we got it wrong. Like the boys were in LA and Nashville and didn't even go to Vegas.
Yeah.
So it's pretty funny when we were playing, especially early in the year, but still cop it a bit now. And you're like near the boundary, someone will be like, "How was Vegas, Lachie?" And you sort of
Didn't
just
go, mate.
Yeah, you tell me, mate. Haven't been for 8 years, but just all that stuff sort of bonded us, I reckon, and made us closer. And even I think there were a few people in the media writing fags off and stuff, even late in the year, saying if we had Chris Scott as coach, we would have won a flag or something by now. And
So you sound like someone who you use this stuff to motivate you. Like you take parts of it in and it fuels you.
That's what I try and just take little snippets and just use it to motivate me, and then at times have conversations with the boys just to like sort of poke them a little bit, but not. I would never say like go and watch this clip or anything, but just
This is what's being said.
Yeah,
I think every club does it in a way, and every playing group. Like you have an awareness of what goes on in the media and what's being said. I think, the common line to the media will be like, oh, we don't read into that, those comments or those things, which a lot probably don't. But in the back of your mind, you have an idea of what is being said. So
you know the narrative.
You know the rough narrative.
Yeah, and you don't listen to it all. But I love my footy and like watch a fair bit of footy, and even during games, you hear commentary about the team and how we're going and stuff. But I've got mates that will send through like little clips and stuff too, and sort of like.
Well, even do you remember the one we caught up? It was just before your second Brownlow. This is probably one of my favourite ones, and we'll text you and have a laugh about it. And you were ranked at like something like the 250th best player.
284th, I think.
Or you haven't forgotten. 284. 280. You were rated
it wasn't
the
even player. That was like best
284th
midfielder or something.
Yeah, midfield.
Yeah.
284th best. I'm like, that is the stupidest stat I've ever heard, and you're probably the best player in the comp again.
I think I said to someone like, I don't think there's even 280 midfielders, so I must be like playing in the threes.
Yeah, well, literally, mate. You go back to the NAFL twos. But we're going down a rabbit hole here. But some of those champion data stats, I don't want to pop champion data, but I'm just like, when it says this player is ranked, in the top 10 in the comp, I'm like, everyone can see with their eye that that's just not true.
Yeah,
Like,
the data's not accurate.
accurate.
I'm sure it works.
I'm sure there is
some
some things that are accurate, but other things like that one's just bizarre, which is
pretty
funny.
There's obviously merit in some of the stats that they provide, but even like you watch a game and they have those player ratings, they're champion. Oh, I don't know what player ratings they are, but a guy will get 10 coaches' votes and be ranked like the 34th best player by their
the
their
analytics can
stats.
almost be too much, can't they?
Yeah.
Sometimes.
Footy's such a variable game that, like, I know some other sports it probably works better, but AFL, there's so much happening that, like, it might not look like a guy's having impact, but they are.
It's a pretty random game.
Yeah.
Like basketball, I would say, they use a lot of analytics, like in their, in everything, in their shooting for individuals in their team. And, like, I think baseball as well is massive on analytics, and it probably correlates more to results. Whereas, I think footy is a bit more random. I'm with you on that.
Yeah, because even like a tagger or something, if you shut down someone, that's not going to come up in your champion data stats.
That's true. Yeah,
But
you have a role.
would have had a massive influence on the game.
That's a good point.
One of those for us was like Cal Archie in the back half of the year, had a job every week and did it so well. And then it probably showed in finals and people started to take notice of what a good job he was doing because he was kicking goals. But his defensive stuff was like first class for us for like a 10, 12-week period. So, but he wouldn't have been ranked very highly in champion data stuff.
Yeah, it's sort of what's rated within a footy club. Can we go through the final series? So you guys finished 5th, I think.
Yeah, we got done by you blokes. And
I remember I was
GWS.
watching that game. So we pipped you guys by a point at the G, and then that would have pretty much got you into the top 4. So you've had to do it the hard way. You've gone into a final series, finishing 5th, knowing you're going to have to win 4 here. And then talk us through the round by round. So I know you played Geelong in the prelim, Swans in the granny, GWS in the semi.
Carlton the first week.
Yeah, okay. So talk us through the journey of each final.
Yeah, we actually felt heading into finals we were the form team of the comp. That's sort of how we painted it. We rattled off 9 in a row after the bye, and then lost to the Giants and you guys 2 weeks in a row. But I think we were like 5 goals up in both those games.
You were smacking us
and
early
then,
in the game.
Yeah, and then just like stuffed a few things up late. I think in the first quarter against the Giants, we kicked like 9 points or something, and we should have been further ahead. And then let that one slip. And then against you guys in a good position, and then Nick got on a roll in the second quarter and got you guys back in it. But that was a good game. Ended up losing that one, but felt like we were in a pretty good spot there.
Just to pause on that, when you had to chase him when he was sprinting through the middle,
bro.
that's a player like you and I. When you know a guy's got you for speed, it's your worst nightmare. You're going pretty quick, like you almost got him, but
he wasn't like he wasn't getting away from me, but I wasn't catching him either.
but then he throws in these little deviations that he does.
I don't know how he goals them either when he's running that quick.
Speed, I know.
I reckon I would fall over and kick a front punt on the full.
Off the shin. Pretty incredible.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Anyway, so I just wanted to throw that in. That was pretty funny.
Did he win goal of the year for that or not?
I don't think so.
I hope not.
He was maybe nominated.
Yeah, he was nominated because I was at the Brownlow because we were sitting there on the waters and that come up. I was like,
you don't want to be on the footage for that.
Nah, I'm like, this will be replayed about 1,000 times in the next 10 years. So
on the mark of the year though, Bobby Hill and Jamie were obviously both nominated. I think the prize is $50,000 for the winner. It was a big prize this year.
Is it?
So I think
is it Virgin points or something?
And Virgin points.
Oh,
you get a ton of Virgin points and
$1 million
I think
points
it was
or something.
$50,000 this year. Like which you can get you probably business around the world. I think so. But they were negotiating. Do we, if one of us wins,
do we go halves? Yeah.
And I think Jamie said to him, I'd have to ask the boys when we get back to training. I think Jamie said, yeah, let's do it. And then Bobby said, last minute, he's like, nah, I'm going for it. And then Bobby won it. So it cost Jamie $25,000.
Oh, he would have been fuming.
Yeah.
That was, Jamie's was a elite mark. Bobby's the one where he got that little bounce up, didn't
Bobby's
he?
was sick because he landed on his feet as well. And then just sort of started strutting. That was cool.
Yeah, they were both good marks. You boys dominated the awards then.
Yeah, well, not the finals, but all the flashy stuff we did pretty well.
Yeah.
But sorry, we just went on a massive tangent. But
yeah, no, back on the finals. Yeah, so we went in thinking we were in really good form and I probably felt Giants and Sydney just because they had such a dominant start of the year. Were 2 teams that were going to be hard to beat. Obviously, once you make the 8, all the teams are in reasonable form, but probably felt Giants and Sydney were 2 other teams in pretty good form heading into the finals. So Carlton, they brought in like a heap of blokes back from injury.
Yeah, that's right.
Against us at the Gabba. Like Doc played after he did his ACL at the Gabba in the opening round against us.
What was the rehab on that total? Less than 6 months.
Yeah, whatever opening round to first final was. That's crazy.
That's insane. Good on him.
So credit to him for getting up for that. That's remarkable and pretty cool story that he was able to play.
Or he just played the full game?
No, he played the full game. Yeah.
Good effort.
Yeah. But yeah, I think they brought in like 5 or 6 players that were sort of coming off injury, so we thought that might work to our advantage a little bit. Just guys were a little bit maybe underdone. Some guys had only missed a couple of weeks though, but we sort of spoke about that in the build-up and thought we could get a jump on them if we came out of the blocks really hard, just because a lot of their guys hadn't played much footy in the last month or so. So we were able to do that. It went to plan, got a bit of a jump on them, and then I think we tapered away towards the end, but ended up winning that by 5 goals or a bit less. But we knew that was the only final at the Gabba, so good to tick that off. And then we knew, 3 on the road. So Giants played a pretty epic game against Sydney. The week before.
They could have, should have.
I think they were 5 goals up in that one as well. And I sort of thought like if we can get the Giants, it'll be like we're in business. So knew I'd get Bedford that game. So I didn't play very well, but all the other boys were unbelievable. That final was probably the best final I've ever been a part of. Away at Giants Stadium. I don't know what it's called anymore, but
NG.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. What was the margin? The biggest margin of the game?
44 points with like 7.5 minutes to go in the third.
Wow, that's insane.
Yeah,
so that's probably getting that win is probably what led to the belief of ultimately winning. But yeah, continue. Sorry, your foot.
No, my foot like went on me a little bit. I think like at the start of the last or something, and
in that game,
or late in the third, or I don't know. We hadn't sort of come back properly yet, and the physio come up to me and was like, "Oh, do you want to just come off?" Like I was moving like crap, really.
Yeah.
But I knew I sort of had Bedford, so I was like, "No, I'll just try and open up a bit of space and just." And I said to him, "Oh, there's probably only like 30 minutes left of the season anyway." So.
That'd be sad.
Yeah.
Wow.
I wouldn't have said it to any of the boys.
Yeah,
but I was like,
well, you can say it now that you've won.
I just said it to the physio, like, I'll just stay out here. Like, like what's the point?
Yeah.
But we kicked like a few, maybe 3 or 4 in a row late in the third to get us back to within like 13 or something, or 19. I think it was 13. And I was like, far out, we're back on here. We just went kick 4 real quick. And that sort of gave everyone belief, like, oh, even if they kick a couple, we know we can like pile on goals real quick. Because then they kicked the last 2 of the third, so pushed it back out to 25. And then start of the last, they kicked the first goal to get it to 31. And
a big chase.
Yeah, so we were like, but the guy's attitude was unbelievable. And Washy sort of came up to me. He's like, "Mate, I'm feeling it, mate. Get me going." So it was unbelievable. I was like, "All right, I'm just going to get out this kid's way." And he was basically go-to for like a lot of the stoppages and centre bounces, and he got out the front a couple of times.
So
and
he said that to you as a young player, that make me the guy.
Yeah, he's
That's
like, "I'm feeling good."
It's pretty cool.
Which I love. I love that confidence, and I think the other guys like Huey and Dunks could see that he was in a bit of a groove. So that's what I love about our team. We got no egos that sort of get in the way of that sort of stuff. And if someone's feeling hot, we try and get them the ball. And Washy sort of put us on his back, and then Huey and Dunks and Jarrett Berry like had an epic last quarter, and got us back within sort of a couple of goals. And then Joe kicked those 2, which like unbelievable.
Yeah.
Under that sort of pressure, that one from the boundary to get us like to within 1 point.
The junction from memory.
Yeah, it was a little bit closer in, but like for a left footer,
Tough kick,
on the wrong side.
Yeah.
But the wind was sort of pushing it back to goal, so he just like sat it up there. And I reckon once we got to within sort of 13 points again in the last quarter, it sort of felt like I think we're going to do this, because there was still heaps of time left, and probably after the week before, Giants might have had a few demons thinking not again. So, and you know what it's like when you're out there, you can feel the momentum is in your favour. I think I had 1 touch in the last quarter, but the boys were just on fire. So I was like, just keep going, boys, just get it done.
Yeah. That's so interesting, the psychology of, we've both been on both sides of that, where your team has the momentum, the other team has the momentum. You both know it. You can read body language. It's such a hard thing to...
It's so hard to turn around. Like we've been on the other end of it, Carlton opening round, when we were 40-something points up, and they just came back and rolled us, and it was like you can just feel it happening. And no matter what you say or do, it's in the back of your mind, you're sort of thinking, far out, this isn't going the way it should be, and it's hard to turn around. That's sort of, I guess, what the job of a leader is to try and do and stem that momentum, but sometimes just like overpowers and you can't stop it.
Yeah.
And then Joe kicking those two, and then we went into sort of like save the game mode, which after last year's grand final and the experiences that we've had over the last 6 years in finals, we've lost heaps of close ones.
So we did a ton of work on it.
Done a heap of work on it, and we executed it so well. So held on for that one, and then the prelim against the Cats. That was just an epic game, really. We never felt out of that one. I think we were 19 points down at halftime. Same thing, they kicked the first goal the third quarter to take it to 25, but we felt like we hadn't played anywhere near our best. But we sort of felt like the game was slowly getting on our terms. In the third quarter, I think we erased that margin pretty quick once again, and it was just a tight game in that last quarter, but that was pretty epic as well. I think there was 95,000 at the G. Our fans were pretty loud, and Geelong had a fair contingent there as well, so that was an awesome atmosphere. I reckon prelims they're almost better than grannies.
Yeah, they're insane.
The two grannies the last 2 years have been pretty epic though, like to be a part of. But yeah, prelims are sick. And to win that one like we did at the G, where we've sort of been spoken about that we can't win at the MCG.
Well, there's another one that you can use to motivate you.
Yeah.
You probably did use to motivate you, you know?
Yeah, exactly. And we feel like we've actually played pretty well there the last few years. We lost to you guys by a point. We beat Melbourne there earlier in the year when they were going well. The year before, I think we got smacked by Hawthorn there, but we had another game there that we went all right, and we just sort of lost a couple by real close margins again. Even the granny, we were thereabouts most of the day. So, to get that win was nice to play there the week before the granny as well, just to sort of get a feel for it. That was maybe a little advantage we had over Sydney as well, that we just played there. They hadn't played there for a while, I don't think.
Yeah. 3 flights is underrated as well. Like, how'd you find that? You would have never done back-to-back-to-back travel ever?
Nah, I don't think I've ever done it. But I think when it's finals, you don't really think about it too much. You're just like, especially knockout finals, you're just like, righto, on to the next. We've got to get it done or the season's over. But yeah, that Cats game was an epic. Like, I actually haven't watched that back, but I'm pretty keen to go and watch that game.
You had a big one from memory. I remember landing from Europe. I was like, I knew that there was not long to go in the game, and waiting for the data to load as I landed.
Yeah.
And then it was like 5 minutes. I watched the last 5 minutes.
Did you?
But I remember you had a big game that one as well.
Yeah, no, I felt good. I think...
So how'd your foot feel? Because you said that you
couldn't
heard
feel it.
Or jabbed up. So what was your... Because we obviously have spoken about this. We've had similar injuries this year. You obviously were able to play through the injections you were getting, but how did that look for everyone listening the back half of the year? Because it's pretty crazy how you got through.
Yeah, it was pretty hard, like more so for everyday living rather than actually playing. Playing was almost the easiest part of my week.
Because you didn't feel it.
Yeah, because I couldn't feel it. But yeah, I think after the bye, I just started to get a bit of a sore foot underneath and didn't really know what it was. Gradually got worse. So when I had a scan, and there was, I think just like a few stress reactions and stuff around the insertion of where my plantar fascia inserts in your heel. So that was pretty aggravated and sore. And then underneath, I think because it was trying to protect that spot, had a fair bit of fluid and inflammation and stuff that I couldn't really get out. I'd take anti-inflams and it would help it a little bit, but as soon as I walked on it or trained on it, it would just like flare up again.
Yeah.
So probably maybe 10 weeks to go. So what would that be, like 6 or 7 weeks before finals started having to jab it for games. So I'd just get one injection basically into my heel
It hurt
to play. Yeah.
Yeah. So I never did that, but I was at the point where having the same injury, loading up on painkillers, loading up on anti-inflams, and to the point where having the strongest stuff you can, and just the pain not doing nothing. So I'm like, need the surgery. Yeah. But you did well to not get the surgery and to push through it.
Yeah, I just I knew like if you have surgery, the season's done, and we're starting to get on a bit of a roll. So I was like, I'm just going to try everything I can not to go under the knife early. So played with injections for probably 3 or 4 weeks before it started to flare up even worse. And then like I couldn't really train, so I did nothing until Thursday. I'd just swim really, and then on the Thursday training, they'd roll me out for like match play. Yeah. So I'd just do like a bit of a warm up off to the side.
They jab you for match play or?
Nah, not yet. Not at the start, but I'd like hobble around. I don't think I got a kick in match play for like 4 weeks. I was just might as well have been on the sideline.
Just a cone.
Yeah. Literal traffic cone. Just
Big thick traffic cone with big cars just standing in the middle of the Gabba.
just limping around basically, like looked shocking. And because we don't have as much media up there, media would come at the start of training and then they get sort of kicked out on a Thursday.
I didn't know.
So I couldn't really pick up on what was wrong for ages, which was good. But then, yeah, probably from the worst was, I reckon, when we played you guys at the G, like felt fine during the game. Jules and Piper came over for that game. We were staying in the hotel, and I woke up at like 4 o'clock in the morning after the game to take a piss, and like went to put weight on my foot and like couldn't put any weight on it, so I had to crawl to the bathroom, take a piss, and then when I was crawling back to bed, Jules woke up and thought I was coming back into the room after a night out, like pissed. She's like, "What are you doing crawling around?" And I was like, "No,
that is unreal.
It's my foot." So she thought I was pissed, but it was pretty funny. Just crawl back into bed, but that probably happened like 3 or 4 times. Some games I could sort of like limp around after, but others I had to like crawl around the house and stuff, which is like...
Yeah, it was similar. Like I couldn't put any weight on my foot for like a couple of weeks.
Yeah. It's,
let alone walk, let alone jog, you know. It's
horrible.
It doesn't sound like an injury, you know, when someone says, "Oh, I did my ACL," or "I broke my leg," or "I you know, had a shoulder recco," you're like, "Oh, that's bad."
Yeah.
An injury like plantar fasciitis, it's like you assume it's just a niggle, but sometimes the niggle ones are the worst because with a injury, let's just say a broken leg, for example, you've got a set period of time. You hit what you're required to do at each checkpoint, and you know you're going to get back at this time. Whereas this, as we know, it's like there's no guarantee that you're going to get back.
You don't know what's going to happen really, and the pain, like you've broken your leg, but I've had shoulder surgery and it hurts for like 2 weeks post surgery, and then you start to feel better. Whereas this was just for like 12 weeks. I was like, this is probably the most painful injury I've ever had.
Yeah, is that right?
More just like, even I've got a 3-year-old daughter who wants me to like run around the house, and I can't.
You're crawling with her. You're crawling with the 3-year-old.
So I had a little scooter at home that I was like scooting around in that the club gave me. So yeah, it was behind the scenes. It was pretty hard to manage, but once sort of finals hit, I had to start getting jabbed for Thursday training just to like get through match play. It just kept getting worse and worse, and then I think it was against the Giants. I snapped one of the bands, ruptured. So there's like 2 main plantar fascia bands, and usually the main one on the inside of your foot goes first, but I don't know how, but probably because we were injecting it too much, the tendons get weaker. So we sort of knew eventually my plantar fascia would snap and rupture. It was just like, hopefully it can hold off till it was going to be, hopefully it holds off and then go get surgery at the end of the year. But yeah, I snapped the outside band against the Giants. I was actually, when we played Geelong, got jabbed for training, jabbed for the game. I haven't really told anyone this, but after the Geelong game, when we flew back to Brissy, the Sunday night I was in hospital because my foot went all purple, and like we didn't know if it was infected or what had happened. So I was in hospital on Sunday night, which no one found out about. Like I told the club like not to tell any of the boys and stuff.
No distraction.
No distractions in a granny. So it was kind of like, I was a bit like, shit, I don't know if I'm going to be able to play the granny because my foot was just in ruins. But then sort of Tuesday rolled around, I was on antibiotics and stuff, and it settled down a little bit. And then we flew Wednesday to Melbourne, jabbed it for training Thursday, and because everything else starts to like tighten up around it. So my calf and my Achilles and stuff was feeling shocking.
Big calves to get tight as well.
Yeah.
It takes a bit to get those calves tight.
I was thinking like my calf was going to pop at training, so I didn't really do much. And there was cameras everywhere at that training, so I was sort of trying to hide it. And then because it was pretty bad, against Geelong, I jabbed it in 2 different spots, and then did it at halftime as well.
Did you jab him with local or cortisone?
Local.
Yeah.
Yeah. So then the doc wanted to make sure he had the right spot. So for captain's run, got it jabbed in 2 different spots. So I was feeling like cherry ripe for our captain's run, rolling around. The media would have been like,
hoping that was grand final day. This bloke's flying.
What's this bloke on about? He's fine.
Yeah. So I find it like, why I've said to you before, but I think out of our draft class, you're probably, I reckon, the best player that come out of our draft. But there's also an ability to fight through injury and play through that, which takes an incredible level of resilience. I've played through things, but I'm like, I've had that injury, and I know, who knows, everyone's case is different. We might have had different cases of it, but I'm like, fuck. I don't swear often this pod often, but that's how impressed I am. I'm like, the fact you managed to play in these finals and play well, grand final, I think you were still the best player on the ground. Like, and just like, that's incredible in itself. Like, there's playing well in a granny, but there's also playing well under duress that no one knows about. Like, there's levels to it.
There is, but I think, like, I'm not sure if my pain threshold is just higher than other people's as well. You don't know, like.
Yeah, you don't know.
I'm not sure how it works, but.
Weak.
No. I don't know. I think people's like pain receptors are different as well. Like,
well, remember that when we played you guys early in the year last year, and I'll come to your house the day after.
Oh, my
and
ankle,
you did your ankle real bad. It was like a balloon.
Yeah,
and you still managed to get it. I was like, "There's no way you're playing next week."
Yeah.
So you must have like really good healing ability or something.
I think so. I
think
you don't
miss
my
many
body
games.
and my prep and stuff as well. But yeah, I sort of pride myself a little bit on that mental resilience as well, and just play. Like I've played with calves and hammies when I probably shouldn't, and
we don't go quick enough to tear them. So
yeah, I know. They can't get much worse if I do a little one.
Yeah.
I missed against Freo this year, and Lachie, he's the head physio now. He like ruled me out for the Freo game, and I was like, mate, I can play. Like, let me play. I know my body. And he was like, nah, didn't sort of trust me enough.
Yeah.
And I usually play through those things, so I was like filthy with him that he didn't let me play.
Yeah.
And we got smacked as well over there. And I was just sitting on the couch, like,
never again.
It was funny. I kept joking with him through the year. I'm like, if that game cost me a BNF, like, that's on your head, mate.
Yeah. You can pay the 50k. You can pay the 50k fee.
So yeah, we had a running joke through the year about that, and he reckons he was nervous as on BNF night because it was so close. But I don't think I would have polled that game. We played shocking, so no one would have got votes. But I don't know. Just through my career, I've sort of been able to tolerate little niggles and little tears in my soft tissue. But like you said, I think it's because we don't go too fast.
I know.
I can sort of get away with it.
But you're at, how many games are you at now? You'll get to 300 soon, I reckon.
272, I think.
Yeah. So you've got me by a good 70 games.
You played 200 against us this year.
Yeah, early in the year.
Yeah.
But yeah,
that's because you were getting 60 in the knee for every week for 2 years.
Mate, I wasted too many games and bloody horse. What's he doing? Anyway, we won't go down there. What about post granny? So the week after. Yeah. Like best week of your life?
It's good fun. Yeah, it's pretty awesome. I can't say best week of my life because Jules will kill me, but it's pretty awesome. The whole experience was sick after going through what we did last year, losing it, and then even the start of this year. Just bouncing back and being able to win that flag was pretty special, and to celebrate it with family and friends and obviously teammates was unreal. Being an interstate club, you got a fair bit on, like functions on the Sunday. We had one in Fitzroy, and then caught a plane back with beers on it though, which was nice, and then out to Springfield, our training base, where the girls had just played and had a good win against the Crows. So there was heaps of fans out there to welcome us back, and but I was pretty knackered after that. Like Saturday night, I think I got about 20 minutes sleep. Yeah. Me and Cam Rayner rolled in and saw Kane Corns. He was about to go to the gym and go for a run, and we were just getting home. And then we had to get on a bus at like 8 o'clock. So I went to sleep at like 7, I think, and my alarm was at 7:20 to have a shower and get on the bus.
It's a tough week, like, because you have all these requirements, but you just and you're also so cooked from the game.
Yeah,
like physically, they're some of the hardest games.
Yeah, so you don't take that into account really. But so Sunday I actually went to bed at like 8 o'clock. I was just gassed after we got back from Springfield. I went to bed, but then Monday was probably my favourite day. Just the boys, and then the coaches rolled in as well for a couple of hours. So it's just that sort of intimate setting where no one else can get to you. Whereas even like post granny on the field, obviously all the partners and family and stuff roll on real quick. So you don't really celebrate with the boys as much, although like the meeting after the granny you would experience, that's pretty sick.
I reckon that's underrated. Best 20 minutes of the whole experience of winning a grand final, when it's just the core footy department that got it done, the players, the coaches, who, you know,
the inner
what was that moment
just,
like? Was there any key moments in there that you like that stick in your memory?
Yeah, there's a few. It's just like how proud everyone is, and just the excitement levels and the happiness, and just like you said, it's probably the first time from the siren that you're together as a group after the game, and having the cup like in there with you. I think the boys made Fags like scull out of the cup, which was pretty funny, and he doesn't drink, so I think there's like a photo of him like sitting over the cup, and it's like pretty iconic. He's like soaking it all in, but he's probably about to spew in it. He's just like sculled 4 beers out of the cup. So yeah, that's like, that was a pretty funny moment, but and everyone was just like banging on the chairs while he was sculling, and yeah, it's just some pretty cool moments in there, and sort of like that moment where we did it. It still doesn't really sink in that moment, but it's a cool, like you said, 20 minutes, half an hour with just
euphoria,
the group.
It's like, wow.
And then
and were you in that exact room from the year before when you lost? Was it the same?
I think so. I think
like,
we were.
How can you compare? Obviously,
I don't know,
it's extreme levels of emotion. Like,
yeah.
That's crazy to experience both in 12 months, like literally almost to the day.
Yeah.
Like, can you describe, that contrast?
Yeah, well, the year before I was bawling my eyes out, and then the next year you're just like the happiest man on earth. So it's crazy how and you're sort of like, even on the ground, and you would have experienced it the year before. When the siren goes, you're just like, it's euphoric, and you're just like, it's the best thing ever. But then guys come onto the field that missed out. So I see like Link McCarthy pretty quickly, and I'm like, shit, you almost feel like emotional for him. And Darcy Gardner, Jared Lyons was sort of had a few tears on the ground, and you just sort of start to feel these like mixed emotions because you're so pumped.
Yeah.
And they're so happy for you as well, but you sort of feel emotional for the guys that missed out. And I remember seeing like, is it Johnny Noble missed out the year
he
that
was bawling his eyes out as well. It's hard to see that.
Yeah.
Tay Adams, I'm actually up
Tay.
here for his wedding at the moment.
Yeah.
It's hard to see that for sure. I actually remember chatting to, when I was at the Swans, we touched on the stuff about the NAFL, have a good joke about it, but like I missed out playing in 2012 and 2014 grannies.
Yeah.
That still sort of cut me up, and then lose 2016. So there's all these sort of hardships along the way. And I remember grabbing a lot of the young guys who were pretty shattered not to be, like you said, they're very happy if their mates still playing, but they're also shattered that they're not out there and a part of it.
Yeah.
But just sort of, I just grabbed a group of about 10 of them and I just said, this will make you whatever you want it to make you.
Through that as
it'll make you more resilient. If you want it bad enough, you'll get there.
Yeah.
So you can carry that stuff, and that's why even with your journey in finals, like the 13 granny, you were the sub from memory.
Yeah.
Well, there you go. Like, you've lost. Even the stars of the game, like yourself. Like, there's hardships that people forget about now that you've done everything, but took ages to get there. It took you 13 years.
Yeah, exactly.
I was the same.
Whereas guys like Washy just roll in and win normies.
Win a norm, win a flag, keep washing
in his
up.
30th game.
Yeah.
But yeah, you're right. And like even guys that have success early, they have stories where they like don't get back there for sort of 10, 12 years, and they appreciate it so much more the second time round or whatever. And it's a bloody hard thing to do, win a premiership at the AFL level. So I think for me, like after the granny, just try and soak it up because it's not guaranteed to ever happen again. And hopefully it does, but there's no guarantees in footy, and I know that firsthand. So I think for me, just trying to enjoy that bubble afterwards was my main goal. And the Monday got to do that with the boys, had the cup there. That was probably my favourite day after. And then we have a few functions and catch ups through the week, but it was pretty epic afterwards. But my foot was hurting a bit too, so that probably slowed me down.
You're crawling around at Mad Monday as well.
Yeah. No, I was actually all right, Mad Monday.
Right
for some reason, a few beers and away you go.
Who was best on? You said Joey was in good form.
Joey was in good form. Jared Berry was in real good form.
Yeah.
I think everyone was just so happy, and even like the guys that missed, because it'd be easy to sort of sulk, but they were all up and about for us as well. So it was just a pretty sick experience that whole week.
Did you know about Joey going to the game?
Yeah, I knew.
As the captain, you would have had some idea. Because
the club hadn't really said anything, but I'm pretty close with Joey, and we speak about it a fair bit. And through the year, just kept touching base. And I knew that this year would be his last. And then when we made finals, I actually said to him, well, I think he might have said to me actually, just give me 16 of your best quarters because it's all I got left in me. So it was funny, like half time of the Carlton game, we were like, all right, 14 more quarters. We were just sort of touching on it throughout the final series, which was pretty sick when we beat the Giants. Obviously, he was like the hero for that game. So I was like, thank you, mate. We got 8 to go.
Yeah.
And just sort of touching on that, which kept us motivated, and just a little touch point, which was pretty cool to experience with him through the finals. Half-time of the granny, we're like, 2 to go, brother. Let's just get this done now. We were obviously in a pretty good spot, but that was cool to enjoy that moment with him post-game too, knowing that was his last moments. One thing I regret, actually, I didn't get to him when he kicked that goal, because I got the ball out of the middle and sort of fell on my knees and handballed it over my head to like Ashy and Huey, I think it was, that were running onto it. They ended up kicking the goal, and I was still on my hands and knees just like cooked.
Admiring your work.
No,
She does a good handball.
I was actually knackered, and I was like, I can't actually like get over there. My foot was killing me. I was just
Yeah.
like, I'm just gonna just chill here, but everyone like went to him. So my view of it was awesome, like seeing everyone swarm him in his celebration and stuff. But I was like, I should have.
Was there many others that didn't get to him?
Nah, probably
Sometimes
like 2.
it's a long run for the
2 or
fullback.
3.
You know, when someone kicks their first goal and everyone gets to him. It's a long run for the
Harris
fullback.
does it all the
it's
time.
It's a 200-metre shuttle. It's a 200 there and back.
That's why his GPS is always the highest, because he celebrates everyone's goals. He just
Does
sprints. Yeah, he'll sprint to like the guy that kicked the goal. Every goal, basically. He's like a hype
As a
guy.
fullback?
Yeah,
I had no
every
idea.
time.
I'm going to look out for that.
And then you'll see at the end, like on the Telstra tracker,
I'm
he's
going to
like
bump a
15
bar
and
when
a
he's
half
going down to
K.
celebrate after goals.
He'll hate that.
Yeah.
So yeah, he does it all the time. But yeah, I sort of just walk back to the middle, try and catch my breath. So that's probably the one moment I was like, oh, maybe I should have done that. But my viewpoint from it was pretty sick too. So
those little visions you have etched in your brain, like you can still probably see it right now.
Yeah, it's pretty cool to relive, and I've watched that moment a fair few times, just like on my phone it pops up. So it was because he doesn't celebrate goals very often, Joey. So for him to give it a bit was pretty cool.
He lives in Byron Bay, which is what, 2 hours from here.
Yeah.
So how, like, does he must love driving or something? Does he ever stay in Brissy, or like that's a long commute to go to training 2 hours every day?
I think he used to stay in Brissy a little bit when he first moved out there, but then he was like, oh, stuff, I'm just going to drive back.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think he just drove to our facility, which is a little bit closer because it's just on the same sort of highway.
Okay.
So he said, I think it took him like an hour 40 there and then back. So still a fair bit of time in the car.
Big commute, yeah. What about in a tactical sense? So going into the game against the Swans, both teams, like to control the ball. Uncontested marks was like a key, KPI that was being spoken about in the media, and I'm sure in both your team meetings. But what did you scout about them specifically that you wanted to take away from them, and what also you thought you could exploit?
Yeah, we thought their kicking skills, so if we gave them time and space, they like to come back through the corridor heaps. Guys like Blakey, Goulden, obviously Pearce, you through the middle of the ground, and then they use their overlap pretty well to then go inside 50 to equal numbers or less numbers. So for us, it was about controlling the corridor first and foremost and forcing them wide and slow, which I thought we did really well. Oh, even before that really was just to pressure them, because even their uncontested game, when they're not marking it, those guys can slice you. So we wanted to just put as much pressure on as we could. We actually felt our pressure game before the finals was pretty poor for like 4 to 6 weeks, and so we wanted to use that as a bit of like a surprise weapon of ours. Was like, let's get our pressure game going. So I thought through the finals that was actually a leap for us. Our pressure was through the roof, and we brought it at the start of the granny. Felt like we had control of the game even early, even though the scoreboard was close. Just felt like the game was getting played on our terms. But yeah, I think for our like team defence, blocking up the corridor, and then at stoppage, Chad Warner, Isaac Heaney, absolute weapons.
Pretty powerful guys.
If we could stop them coming out the front, that was going to be key as well, especially centre bounce. So I thought we controlled that space so well. Around the ground stoppages, I think there was like hardly any in the first quarter. So we were able to control the ball with our kick mark game, and I think we had heaps of like 45 uncontested marks or something in the first quarter. So got the game on our terms, but yeah, that was probably the two main things, was stop their uncontested game through the corridor and their overlap. So Cal did a roll on Blakey, Dunks went to Heaney. We didn't put sort of anyone to Goulden or Warner, it was more like if they're in your area, bump a bar, don't let them get overlap, because that's how they slice you. And then just the stoppage game as well was more Heaney and Warner, just make sure they can't burst out the front.
So you identified Heaney as the 3 as probably the biggest threat, it sounds like.
Yeah. And then for us, we sort of thought if we can get control of the ball, we'll be able to pierce them with our kick mark game's been elite. So we know that they're elite offensively. We just want to try and test them defensively as well through the midfield, and just our work rate as well. I thought we worked so hard to create options and get the ball through the middle. Like the one that stands out early on was that Huey McCluggage kick to Ryan Lester. If you watch the start of that, I think Froggy gets it like in the D50. So he's a part of that chain, and then just like bolts through the middle. No one picks him up, and Huey's like kick is just unbelievable. It sort of kickstarts our offense, and Froggy hits, who was that? Kawachi, I think, and then he chips it to Kai for our first goal, and that sort of got our ball movement going. But yeah, it felt like we controlled the ball really well. Our stoppage game was elite. They were the 2 main things for us, and we ticked them off. Just sort of fell our way a bit as well, which is nice when those things happen. But yeah, that was basically the game.
Yeah, I messaged Dunks after the game. I know Dunks a little bit, but he's one of those guys that is just, he's just so competitive and like a warrior. Like you got, not so that he's not super talented, but yourself, McCluggage, Ashcroft, and then you've just got Dunks who's just happy to do a role for the team.
Yeah, he's
tough,
like the glue to our team.
Yeah, competitive. Like I love playing against those guys because you just know what you're going to get. Like he's just honest.
Yeah, no,
he
he's
just
a beast.
adds a different thing to your mix, I reckon.
He's so good, and for guys like myself and Huey, if we're getting sat on or whatever, he'll just come block for you. Like he just doesn't care about getting the ball himself. He's all about the team and making the most of our weapons too. So, but he also wins his own ball too. He's a beast contested player, and his tackling's unbelievable. But yeah, like you said, he'll just do a role every week for us if we want him to. He'll just do whatever the team needs. If he feels like Cam Rayner needs to get involved, he'll go play forward and say, Cam, go and centre bounce, and we'll just swap whenever. Like he's just the most selfless player I reckon I've ever played with. So he's a beast.
Yeah. Was there a moment the last few years, I remember whether it was legit or not, there was a bit of commentary about potentially going back to Freo. In hindsight, it's a crazy thing because, you've here now, you've won a premiership with Brisbane. I think that was during the COVID time when obviously Jules is from Perth. But was that ever a real consideration of potentially going back to Freo and the Dockers? Or, you obviously love the Lions and you've done what you've achieved now. But do you ever think, oh, thank God I stayed with what you've done now? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like a crossroads moment?
Yeah, it was a little bit. And yeah, it was 2021 during that season. So we couldn't get into like Perth, and her parents and stuff couldn't come over. I've got family over there, got a great friendship group. So for us, we just wanted to see... we're about to start our family as well, so Piper was going to be born at the end of that season. So for me, I just wanted to see if we wanted to move back to Perth and raise our family there. Was it a possibility? So that was where my head was at. More so just sussing if we wanted to get back, was it an option or not?
The option there in
yeah,
case, yeah.
If I went to the club and was like, oh, I want to go back to Perth, and then Freo and West Coast were like, we don't want you, mate. Then I was like, oh, well, that was stupid.
Yeah.
But I probably regret not going to the club before that to like
Just have a chat
air out the my thinking and the issues that we thought we might have with starting a family and not having access to our own family. Well, hers, my parents could sort of get up to Brisbane from South Australia, but Perth was like a vault. You couldn't get in or out.
Yeah.
So yeah, we were just sort of discussing that and went to Freo and said if we wanted to come back, would you guys be open to it? They said yes, and then we sort of left it there. The season finished and it came out, which sort of caught me by surprise. I thought we'd have a couple of weeks to figure it all out. It sort of just got pushed to like 2 days, really, 48 hours. And the club, like the Brissy club, were amazing. Basically said if you wanted to go, we'll get it done because family's number one for us. Just shows the sort of club that I'm at. And
that's a tough thing to say about your best player.
Yeah, it was it was awesome. But for me, like I didn't want to leave in a footy sense. It was more the family stuff that we were just trying to figure out. But me and Jules spoke through it and decided, like, for us, it was best to stay. So even if we had that 3-week window that I thought we might have had to decide, we still would have came to the same conclusion to stay in Brissy. But it was sort of a real thing, but I wouldn't have left in the end. And I love the club so much for how they handled that with me as well. They were awesome, like Fags and Danny Daly and Swanee and stuff were unreal through that period for me, and put things in place to get Jules' parents over and help out with babysitters and things like this. So that's why I sort of regret not going to them, and we could have hashed that out before I sort of like went to Freo and stuff. And so that was on me and should have handled that better, but sort of never apologised for looking out for my family either. It's number one. So it was an interesting period. I had a bit of a crappy year with injury, and my headspace was probably a bit off. 2020 I felt like I had like an unbelievable year, and then 21 went off script and I was like, probably not in the greatest headspace myself. So probably should have spoken to the club about that part of my mental state as well. And
it's all learning though, isn't it? Like, I know exactly what you mean. Like when you're in that state of playing your best footy, you're thinking clearly, and then when you're not, you handle things certain ways, or you might be off with your mood slightly, and it impacts decision making. Like it does have an impact. And we're in a high stress caper, like especially yourself, you're at the play at the highest level. Like there's a lot that goes with that.
I think as well. I remember I missed like 9 games, and I think we went 9-0 when I didn't play, and I was sort of like,
am I the issue?
Yeah, and I think we started the year like pretty poorly. So I was kind of like, probably not in the greatest headspace with my impact on the team and stuff as well, which is crazy to think, but it's just a wave that you go through in AFL footy too. Reece Matheson come in and was playing good footy, and the team was just like rolling. So I think I came back and we like lost against Melbourne or something as well. I was like, far out.
Might hang him up.
Yeah, that's me done.
Yeah.
But so glad that made the decision to stay. And like I said, if we had the time to go through it, we would have stayed anyway, but it was just sort of got rushed into a couple of days thanks to the media. Cheers, guys.
Yeah, thank you. Speaking to family, having a baby boy as well. Is that
little boy due in like 3 weeks.
We were laughing the other day, I'm like, that kid's going to come out with magnets in his hand.
He's going to come out with big calves.
Big calves. He'll take over the Lachie Neale's big calves. What's the page called? Lachie Neale's calves?
I haven't seen it in a while. They might have shut it down.
Post. It's just posting your calves.
Yeah,
so funny.
just photos of my calves. But
they are good calves.
Yeah, I said to you, I'll slide a golf club into his hands instead of a footy when he comes out. So,
well, you're right into your golf at the moment. What's your handicap
I love it.
now?
Nah, I'm at 11. I haven't played because of my foot in ages. So
get the golf cart out, or you wouldn't be walking.
I can't really when I was playing, I couldn't put weight through it. And then post-season, I've been in a boot until about a week ago. So out of the boot now. So hopefully in a couple of weeks I can get back out there. But I wouldn't have played for like 20 weeks probably now.
Keep the handicap at 11. That's a pretty good handicap, I reckon.
It will blow out when I come back.
Yeah,
that's all right.
Yeah,
it'll be good. Might win a couple of comps.
Because Hodgie's big in his golf.
Hodgie loves it. Yeah, I'm at Brissy Golf Club, which is a nice course. Shout out to them. But the boys sort of play all over Brissy. We've got like 30-something blokes signed up, I think.
Is that right?
Yeah, with handicaps, which is crazy. When I was at Freo, I reckon I was like the only bloke.
One,
and then Andy Brayshaw came. Yeah, and he jumped on at Royal Freo with me. So there's like 2 of us out of the whole list, and now there's like 30-something at Brissy. It's crazy.
Yeah, no, it is crazy. We'll be playing golf when we're fat and old, which is probably not too far away. But mate, always so good to chat. Far out. What a career now. So a flag, 2 Brownlows. Might have to fact check all this. 6 BNFs, I reckon.
Yeah.
4 or 5 All Australians. Like far out, and you're still not done. It's pretty scary.
Yeah.
Isn't it crazy to think you talk about watching the draft last night. You'll pick 58.
Yeah, I went pretty late.
Slid. And then there's probably thousands of kids out there last night who nominated and missed out. You go late. There's so many hard luck stories out there, Dane Swan was 58, I think, as well.
Yeah, I saw he wrote it. He put out this thing saying, like, if you're pick 58, you have more chance,
for a good career.
More chance of a Brownlow than pick 1.
Is that true? It's probably true.
Yeah, I think he
Wow.
I think he fact-checked it.
It's probably a good lesson, though, isn't it? Like, there's other ways that, some kids are probably heartbroken at the moment and think it's the end of the world, but there's other avenues, and some guys come in at a mature age, and even Matthew Boyd's I'm not sure if you had him at Freo or if you just missed him, but
missed him.
He's just come to Collingwood, and I was chatting to him about his career, and he obviously had a great career.
Yeah.
And, you know, off the rookie list, like there's, you know, some guys develop late and there's still ways to do it. 58, like,
Yeah.
you know.
No,
and
some guys are like Rory Laird. He's a mate of mine. He was rookie draft. He's a star.
He's a gun.
Couple of Australians.
Dean
like,
Cox, he was a rookie. Brett Kirk, there's heaps of them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, certainly avenues, and more. I reckon more mature age guys are getting a look now too, which is good.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's definitely not over.
Yeah, it's not.
So I reckon as well, people put such a price on your draft number. Like when you first get drafted, you think, oh, I went 58, like I'm no good.
Yeah,
but once you're in the door,
once you're in, it doesn't matter.
Nah.
So true.
So if you put in the work, you'll get there.
I know you're a big NBA man, so I want your prediction on who's going to win the championship this year, who's going to win MVP. And if you've got any, if you could put a little multi together, because I know you love your NBA multis.
Yeah.
But what would be your...
My multi would be Boston to win it again.
Yeah. Again, if you had to get real specific, Boston, who would they play? Who's going to come out of the West?
Oh, it's a tough question. The West is sort of
So
open
stacked.
at the moment. It could be a number of teams. My Warriors are going right at the moment, but I don't think they'll get there.
I'll just look at the standings, because I was looking at this the other day. Do you know there's only 3, maybe 4 teams in the East with a winning record?
Yeah.
And then the
And
West is pretty much every
stacked.
team.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Well, the Lakers are going right at the moment too.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think that'll be an awesome playoff series in the West.
So
I
you're
think
going Boston to win it all?
I think Boston win it against.
Have a look.
Yeah, it's just.
I'm
it's
saying
stacked
OKC.
At the moment.
I'm
You're
saying
saying
OKC,
OKC.
yeah.
That's a good shout. I'm going to go a bit rogue, and I reckon maybe Dallas will get on a roll.
Yeah?
They're not
After
sort of going
last year?
too well, but yeah, Dallas.
I would love to
even
see
like
it. You're
Phoenix-
a Curry man, but
Phoenix
I'd love to
is
see
stacked.
LeBron make another one
Yeah.
last big run.
Yeah, it'd be cool to see the Lakers in it with JJ Redick coaching now.
Who's
Denver.
the MVP?
Yeah.
Who's winning MVP this year?
Or Minnesota.
So many good teams in the West.
I've got Ant Edwards for MVP.
Do ya?
Yeah, I picked him at the start of the year, but
Standing by it.
I'll stand by it.
Yeah. Defensive player of the year, I reckon Dyson Daniels has it.
He's got it locked up.
Yeah, he's got it locked up after 15. Yeah, pardon the pun, but he's got it locked up after 15 games. But he's leading the league in steals.
Love watching him. He's a
deflections.
star. He's balling on the offensive end as well. It's good to see.
Yeah, they actually put the ball in his hands to win the game. You
Did
know
they?
that big game? He had one big game where he
We're
had
at
28
25.
points.
Yeah.
And they were down by a point, and they put it in his hands,
Love
ISO
that.
ball to go win. He missed the shot, but someone tipped it in, they won. But even in the trust in his offense,
Yeah,
it's
it's
good to see
awesome.
Giddy getting back to his best as well.
Yeah,
sort of
Gibbs has
getting
had
close
some
to
big
a
games.
triple-double every game. So
Boston
into Edwards
to
MVP.
beat Dallas
Yeah.
in the finals, and then I'll stick with Ant. He'll get
Alright.
on a run through the middle of the season. He loves playing. He doesn't rest, so the other boys will tire out a bit, and he'll just keep motoring.
He's a star. All right, I'll go with Boston, OKC,
Yeah,
and I'll say Boston to win as well. MVP, I'll say Jokic.
he's a beast.
He's
isn't he?
averaging
Far
like
out.
He's averaging, there was stats the other day, his points, rebounds, assists is more than, I think it was Shaq, Duncan, and
Westbrook or something.
yeah,
in there.
point guard in their prime.
Yeah.
And he's winning every stat, which is ridiculous. But
It's wild, hey.
It is crazy.
How many has he won? 2, 3?
I think he's won 3. Embiid won 1.
Yeah.
He's won 3. I'll botch all that in with Real Deal Neale doing his 3rd Brown though as well.
No, I'll go Dacos Brown.
Yeah,
actually.
yeah.
We're not allowed to bet on that. So.
No, correct.
Can
we'll
that.
leave that out. Yeah. Good work, mate. Good chat.
Sweet. Thanks, brother.